It's now time to rank the segments in VHS 2. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the Movie Ranker, and today I'm going to be ranking all of the short movies, the segments from VHS 2, which was released in 2013, only 1 year after the original. Pretty fast production on this one to get it out there, since the first one was pretty successful for such a low budget. And I actually think that VHS 2 is kind of a step up from the original. The original had some good, some bad segments, but this one I actually enjoy all of them, all 5 segments in this one. And so we're going to get right into this. Make sure you comment down below your favorite segments or shorts in this film, and let's get into it. So in last place at number 5, I got Tape 49, which was directed by Simon Barrett. This is the wraparound story that connects all the shorts together. Similar to the first wraparound story in part 1, but this one is done a bit better, makes a bit more sense. Instead of these random people breaking in, burglarizing and randomly watching tapes while they're robbing the place, this time it's a private investigators, 2 of them. They go in and try to find clues on this missing person. It just made much more sense why they broke in a house to watch these tapes, is to uncover clues on this missing person, especially since that person is has recordings of themselves on there that they're watching. It's real interesting that you find out that he shot himself in the face, like literally right before they go into the house, and he's like roaming around. It's just pretty creepy, especially the ending. And then the girl ends up getting like possessed. I don't know if it's because she watched tapes out of order or whatnot, but yeah, really creepy. Cool effects on the guy blowing his like bottom part of his face off with the pistol, and pretty cool ending. Coming in at number 4, I got Slumber Party Alien Abduction. And this is directed by Jason Eisner, who is famous for Hobo with a Shotgun. Pretty cool little movie. And this one, I enjoyed it. There's not a whole lot to it. It's basically just these group of kids who end up in an alien invasion. Aliens come down and try to take them. And that's pretty much the whole plot. Reason why this one is lower on my list, I feel like the camera work was probably the worst out of all these segments, especially since parts of the movies it's strapped to the family dog, like a GoPro, and other times it's just cutting in and out a lot. And I think that's just to make the aliens more effective when they do pop up on screen. And the aliens do look creepy as hell. Reminds me of Signs, the way these aliens look. And this one even got a spin-off, I think last year perhaps, called Kids vs. Aliens. So it obviously has its fan base. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I like how they thought the cops were there at one point, and they run to safety towards the cops, and then all the cop lights and everything just disappear. It was kind of like a trick the aliens were putting on. I thought that was pretty clever, but the way it ends, it's all kind of for nothing. They all get abducted or die or whatever, and they had to hurt the dog for like no reason at the very end, which didn't add anything to the story. That could have been left out. But like I said, an enjoyable segment. At number 3, I got Phase 1 Clinical Trials. Adam Wingard returns. He did the wraparound story and the first VHS. He returned to do a segment in this one, and this is probably the creepiest out of all the segments on here. Maybe the creepiest out of all the shorts so far in these VHS movies. But the way it does that is a little unfair, a little cheap, because it uses multiple jump scares. And that's my biggest negative for this one, because I really enjoy the story. This guy gets an eye replacement that's like a new technology, and it's in experimental mode. And the doctor says you may experience some glitches, but what it really does is make him able to see ghosts and like the dead. And the more he interacts and acknowledges them, the more they appear and the more they come after him to kill him, basically. So basically these ghosts are always there, but since we don't have those special eyes to see them, we don't see them, right? And they don't really bother us because we're not interacting with them. And I thought that was just really clever. And we get the side character, this girl, I think Clarissa, I think her name was. I could be wrong on that. and she explains that she has an ear. She had a hearing problem, and she got her ear. Some new technology on her ear that the doctor gave her and allowed her to hear the dead. So the story is really similar to the movie The Eye with Jessica Alba, or the original, the Asian film, horror film, but it's tweaked a bit. But like I said, it's just too bad that all the scares come from jump scares. There's not a whole lot of atmosphere here aside from that. You're just basically sitting there waiting for the next jump scare, waiting to be startled, which isn't exactly scary. It's scary in the moment, but as soon as the segment's done, you kind of forget about the scares, which is unfortunate. And that's what jump scares do. I don't mind one or two jump scares here and there, they're fine, but when you're relying on them non-stop for your scares, that's a problem. And Adam Wingard had the same problem with the Blair Witch remake. Most of his scares were generated from jump scares, aside from the ending where it actually felt claustrophobic and tons of atmosphere in that when they're in the house. But yeah, the same goes for this short. It's just unfortunate, but I really enjoyed the story and it was really creepy. Coming in at number 2, I got A Ride in the Park, uh, co-directed by Eduardo Sanchez, who was one of the co-directors on the original Blair Witch Project, one of my favorites, and Greg Hale. Hopefully I pronounced those names right. But this is a zombie segment, and which, you know, we all seen zombie flicks. We seen, I think, everything that could happen with a zombie nowadays. But this was a unique take because our main lead is not just getting chased by zombies, but very quickly he becomes one himself, and he's wearing a GoPro because he's a biker in the woods, and we're just witnessing him gathering more, turning more people into zombies, like gathering the zombie horde, and then taking over birthday parties and different things like that in the woods. It was this really cool idea to have you following the zombie, because usually we always get the perspective from the survivors or the humans. So I like that aspect of it. Definitely for the gore hounds, this one, the amount of gore in here, it's pretty gnarly, like hauling out intestines and whatnot. You know, very zombie-esque horror. Definitely not the scariest, the least scary probably out of all these shorts, but it definitely brings the gore. And I do like how they give our main lead a little bit of that human aspect when he becomes a zombie. Like at the start, he's talking with his girlfriend on the phone, and then later when he becomes a zombie, he sees that she's calling him, and it kind of makes him click back to his human state just for a minute, just enough for him to not want to be a zombie and to grab a shotgun and blow off his head, like kill himself. Really crazy. That part reminded me a bit of Warm Bodies or even Evil Dead 2 when Ash finds his girlfriend's pendant or necklace and kind of reminds him about being a human and brings him back. It kind of had that element to it, which I really enjoyed. And just really cool to see the zombies' perspective in this one. But easily coming in the first place for me is Safe Haven, directed by Timo Tayanto. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if I screwed up his name. And also Gareth Evans co-directed this with him, who I know from The Raid. Kick-ass Indonesian action movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. You're going to love it if you like movies like John Wick and stuff like that. But Safe Haven, yeah, wow. This is definitely the most ambitious segment that we've ever gotten in these VHS movies out of all the ones I've seen so far. It's just really out there. It takes its time building the story, but once it starts to unravel, things just go crazy and bonkers. It's about a group that's making a documentary, and they go to see this cult, and they get permission to go there and talk to their leader about how things are run and everything. And the leader of the cult, called Father, is really weird and creepy. And through dialogue, you kind of find out that he's taking these wives and their kids, and he's sleeping with the wives and the kids. It kind of like subtly says that in the dialogue. And yeah, just a real creep, a real weirdo. And you find out that this is a suicide cult. All the kids end up taking poison at one point, and all the older people end up taking guns and shooting themselves in the head. And you're like, is this a suicide pact or what? Like a religious type of thing? And then it just keeps getting crazier. You find out that this was all done for like the occult, like the devil worshipping group, and them sacrificing all the kids, and that they end up coming back as these crazy like zombie demons, same as the adults. And really cool with our main characters, we also find out that they have a struggle between them as well through their GoPros and that and their cameras. We find out that one guy and his girlfriend that are together, you find out that the girl was cheating on him with his friend who's also in the documentary crew. So we got an internal struggle in there, while the bigger picture is they're all in trouble at this cult. And things just get crazy. They end up taking away the girl. You find out she's pregnant with the other guy's kid that she cheated with, which is right messed up. And there's just so much to chew on here. There's so much going on with the characters, a lot of development, a lot of story, and it just kept getting more bizarre and crazy as it went on. And eventually we learned to find out that they used that girl, her baby inside of her, to birth basically like the devil. Some horned monster with wings comes out of her at the end, and it's just so bizarre and insane. And I love how he's like chasing down the one who technically would be his father because he slept with that girl and then she gave birth to Satan. And it ends with him going through the woods, chasing his car, and eventually smashing into it on the side just to say, Papa? And it's like, and there's even a metaphor there, like it's symbolic to him not wanting to have the kid with her. So he would see the kid as the devil because he made that kid through screwing over his best friend by sleeping with his girlfriend. So there's just so much to unpack on this one. It deserves its own movie for sure. It had a fairly longer runtime for a segment here, but it still deserves a full-length film. I think you got enough pieces here to do that. This is obviously a fan favorite of the VHS franchise. Like, a lot of people put this one as their number one of all the segments ever made in this franchise, so that's interesting. It's definitely up there with Amateur Night for me from the first VHS. They're both really awesome, but yeah, this one definitely had balls. It was ambitious. It was disgusting, horrific. It had some great action. It had everything. My only little complaint would be that since almost every character had a camera on them, it was hard to tell who we were following sometimes, because sometimes it would cut to like a different character going down the hall, and I'm like, well, who is this time? And obviously that would help on rewatches knowing who's who and what. But yeah, besides that, this is a very, very good segment and easily the best out of all of these, hands down. So it comes in number one for me. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all the segments in VHS 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said earlier, drop your ranking down below. I'd love to hear it. See if our rankings line up at all. But these are all good. So I don't hate any of them. So I could see people really having different rankings with this one, since there's a lot of quality here. As where the first one, it was kind of hit or miss half the time. This one, they got it down packed. A great anthology, because most anthologies you don't get this much good short stories all in one. So great job, guys, on this one. And yeah, just a really cool idea. I never said this, I don't think, in my first video, but to make not only an anthology but a found footage horror anthology, which really hasn't been done much before, even if it has been done. So really original, and I think that's how this became a franchise, because yeah, they were easy to make, but there was a lot of talent behind them. They had great original ideas. So that was my ranking of VHS 2. I hope you enjoyed it. You can follow me on Instagram, even though I haven't been posting on there a whole lot lately. You can follow me on Letterboxd, which I'm on almost every day rating movies, if you're interested in that. Links to those are in the description of this video. Like and subscribe, and until next time, guys, thanks for watching.